on the Mustangs Sports Network from Learfield. You're listening to Mustangs Mic'd Up, presented by the SMU Cox School of Business, featuring an in-depth look at all things SMU athletics. It's everything you need to get your Mustang fix, from the court to the gridiron. Here are your hosts, Rich Phillips and Alex Glover.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to another week of Mustangs Mic'd Up. Great crowd tonight here at Ozona Grill and Bar with us. Show brought to you every week by the SMU Cox School of Business. Lots to do on the show here this evening. We'll have men's tennis coach Chen with us, as well as men's swimming coach Rhodenbaugh. But first up, let's welcome in the new director of athletics for SMU, Damon Evans. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. It's good to be here and see all the Mustang fans out here and to be with you guys. And, you know, as I was coming in, I said, you know what, let me address a topic that I think is pretty hot out there right now, and the topic regarding Pony Up. So I want to address it. First and foremost, I embrace the fact that our fans are so passionate about the Mustangs and what we're doing, because without our fans, we wouldn't be who we are. It's interesting. I like to say this, guys. There's plenty of room on the hilltop for all of us. Some people love Pony Up. Some people love Go Mustangs. We're going to embrace the boldness and the strength of the Mustangs because that's who we are. But I'm sure there are those fans who will continue to use Pony Up. And we will use that in traditional ways and use it in new themes. But at the end of the day, if you want to say Pony Up, Go Mustangs, kick 'em Stangs, I'm just happy that everyone is moving in the same direction and cheering for our beloved university, SMU.
It sometimes gets overlooked, though. Branding, marketing, that's the business that we're in now. It's all about trying to have a unified message, isn't it?
It is. You really want to have a strong, unified brand. I think that we have one of the strongest brands in the country. When you think about the Mustang in and of itself, I think there's only one other school in the country that has the Mustang as a mascot, and I think it's Cal Poly. Cal Poly and SMU are not in the same class. Let's say that. But at the end of the day, the boldness, the brashness, the wildness, how we run and what we do is we want to make sure that we highlight that. But again, I'm going to go back and say this. People have traditions that they want to respect and that they want to uphold, and we understand that, and we're not going to shy away from that, and we're going to go out and do what we do, and that's make all of you proud.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Talking about that strong brand, we've got to see it in the new documentary, just the resurgence of the Mustangs over the years, over the last few decades. What can you tell us about the documentary, and then what are some things that you enjoyed watching the film?
Well, first and foremost, the documentary, if you have not seen it, it's absolutely incredible. I want to give a couple shout-outs here. There are some individuals that made this documentary come to fruition. David Miller, Kyle Miller, Rich Templeton, Bill Armstrong, and Tucker Bridwell. They were the ones that financed this and really saw what it could mean for our community and our institution. But when you look at this film, this documentary, it's going to talk about us from the time, unfortunately, that we had the death penalty to the rise to the ACC and then to the CFP. It's a rebirth, a resurgence, a renaissance of SMU, and I'm so excited for us because it tells the story of who we are, how relentless and resilient we are, and that's why we're all here today.
And, of course, it is Thunder On, as you see on our backdrop there. It'll debut Sunday at 2 o'clock on ESPN. And, of course, you can see it on ESPN Plus as well. It was previewed, I know, for a group last Friday night at Jay Hartzell's inauguration event and all of that. How was it received by the folks there?
You know, it's a great idea by President Hartzell. He said, let's preview this during his inauguration, which was terrific. We had a great turnout for it. The responses by the audience was just unbelievable, especially when there was this one team that we happened to kick their you-know-what. I think we're going up the road this week to face them.
I think so, yes. I don't think the coach saw all of it last year, though.
You know, but he didn't get to see it for some reason because I think he was back there in the locker room. But yeah. I'm very excited about the opportunity that is going to be before us this week. But Thunder On is great. I really think it highlighted the success. And I'm going to sit here and say this, guys. When you sit back and look at what we went through as an institution, and I forgot about this, I'll be candid. We got passed over the first time by the Big 12. Then a second round came, and they took, I think, UCF and Cincinnati and Houston. We get passed over again, and we could have lost hope. But that's not who we are. We found a way, we stayed committed, and we got into an even better conference, the ACC.
We did. And we kind of kicked down the door of that conference last year, too.
I think we proved that we belong the first year in the ACC. I could look at what Rhett Lashley and our football team did, 8-0, conference championship game, run to the CFP. But it's funny, it didn't stop there from an athletics perspective. You take a look at Sam Erger and our volleyball program had a terrific season. Men's soccer went to the Elite Eight. The list goes on and on and on, and you're going to hear from some incredible coaches here this evening. But we belong, we prove that, but we've got a lot of room to really elevate this program.
I want to go back a little bit and talk about President Hartzell and y'all's two relationship. You talked about how you work so closely with him. What has that alignment meant as we're trying to move SMU forward in the coming years?
I am very, very fortunate to work for a gentleman and partner with a gentleman like Jay Hartzell. You guys, he's phenomenal. He understands the role of athletics within the context of a university of higher education. He knows the importance and the value that we bring. But he knows that we're not the most important part. So how do we take this arm that is the most visible and uplift this institution? And he and I have worked really closely together. His enthusiasm for SMU, his enthusiasm for academics, research, athletics, the arts, it's something that I'm all about, and I'm just excited to partner with him.
You came over from Maryland, of course, earlier this year. You'd been the AD at Georgia, too. What made SMU the right fit for you?
Well, you know, first and foremost, I had to ask my wife if it was okay that I look at this job. But, you know, what I looked at first and foremost, you take a look and say, is that the type of community we want to live in? Are those the type of people that we want to be around? And what we found when we sat down with the search committee that included Jay and David and some others, saw complete alignment first and foremost. Everybody on that committee and everybody I met, they want to be elite. They want to be the best. And they're willing to do the things that it takes to be the best. And that's because, due in large part to the fan base that we have in this room, the generosity of our donors, the commitment. And when I saw that, that struck me. And then sitting down with Jay Hartzell, I remember when SMU announced that Jay was going to become the next president here at SMU, and I was going, man, SMU went out and took the president from UT, took the basketball coach from USC. I said, there's something special going on there, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Talking about that, you came into a time when SMU had so much momentum, college football playoffs, a bunch of programs in the top 10. How did that momentum set the stage for you and your vision as athletic director?
Well, the foundation was set, and I always want to give credit to the people who came before me. What has been done at this institution has simply been incredible. I've been handed the keys to a fine-tuned machine, but I've been asked to make it go faster, to elevate it, and that's what I'm committed to doing. And you want to start off with a good product. We have the bones here and the foundation here to build something extremely special. I will tell you guys this, and you've heard this before, this is a sleeping giant. I believe in all my heart that we can be one of the best athletic programs in the country, that we will stand as an elite athletics program in this country, one that is essential to college athletics, and we will proudly represent this institution, and there's no better place to be right now than SMU.
Hear, hear. You've already been busy. You've hired 2 new coaches here. You got busy right away, right out of the gate, hiring Adia Barnes for women's basketball. What separated her to make her the right choice for that program?
It's interesting. I took a look at what we were doing. You talk about Mustang momentum. You talk about trying to go out and get the best. When Don Rogers, one of our staff members who worked with me on that search and did an outstanding job, we were sitting down and talking about what are we looking for. We said, let's go out and get us a Power 4 sitting head coach. Some people might say, what are you talking about? I said, we're going to go take somebody from another institution. And what we saw in Adia Barnes is someone who had had a great deal of success. She had been to the Final Four, not just to the Final Four. She made it to the national championship game, and I think lost by 1 point to Stanford. So she had built a great program. She had recruited well, and she was at Arizona, her alma mater. and I love taking her away, and I love bringing her here. She's a good coach. She knows X's and O's. She has a good staff. But I think what we can do for her is add on those resources to help her even elevate her abilities.
Well, you did the same thing in women's tennis, too, with Kelsey McKenna. We heard her on the show a couple of weeks ago. Of course, she came from Wisconsin, where that's quite a run she had there, taking over, turning around a program that she had there at Wisconsin.
A great search group that we had, and some of them are here again, and Lauren and Don and everyone. But it's funny with Kelsey, because I was teasing her. I said, we got to get you out of that cold weather. If you want to coach tennis and you want to compete at a high level, you need to come to SMU. But here's the interesting thing, guys. She did an incredible job at Wisconsin. And I was blown away by it is difficult when you're in a climate like that and you're playing indoors in the winter all the time and you don't have the ability to play outdoors. But where she took that program to and where it came from was remarkable. I'm excited to have her as our head women's tennis coach, and she's already hit the ground running and done some really good things.
All right, Damon, you're in the hot seat. Are you ready for the Mustang Minute?
I don't know if I'm ready, but I'll try to.
Is it harder to manage an over $120 million athletic budget or playing in the SEC football game?
Ooh. Playing in a football game is hard. I just gonna say that that's very hard.
Best piece of advice you've gotten from Coach Vince Dooley?
Stay in the moment. Just stay in the moment and never get too high or get too low.
If you weren't working in athletics, what would your career be in today?
Running a hedge fund on Wall Street.
Oh,
okay.
You did that for a while, didn't you?
I wanted to. I didn't get to. So.
What's your go-to Dallas restaurant so far?
Ooh. I would have to ask Lauren there. Lauren always gives me the right restaurants. She's the foodie on our staff. I'm going to say Catch.
Okay, that's a good one. Have you had their brunch before?
Yes, I have.
That's
very good.
Very good. Who wins the family free throw contest, you, Cameron, or Kennedy?
Ooh, I always win.
Everything. Everything. That's the right answer. Favorite sports movie of all time?
Favorite sports movie of all time?
Other than the documentary.
Other than the documentary? Interesting. I like Any Given Sunday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm big on The Natural. Of course, we just lost Robert Redford this week.
Yeah, I saw that. 89 years old,
I was like, man, I got to go back and revisit that one. I hadn't seen that one in a while. Okay, Damon, there was a time when ADs were focused on coaches and equipment and schedules and stuff like that. You still have that, but you got facilities. We talked about earlier, marketing, you got that. And maybe most importantly is the fundraising side. And that's kind of what you're in charge of, right? You're the lead guy here. Maybe that trumps them all on your agenda is drumming up support from the donors, isn't it?
That's very important nowadays. When you take a look at athletic departments, you have some ADs who are more internal. You have ADs who are more external. I started on the internal side, guys, but as I've evolved, being on that external side is very, very important. Getting out and meeting our fan base, getting to know our fan base, our donors, our season ticket holders, the people who support us. But not just that, telling our story and selling our vision about what we want to accomplish and why it's necessary to get people to invest. I look at it like a business. If you're investing in a company, you can see where the stock is. We need to show you what the return on the investment is going to be. We need to tell you the story and the plan that we have in place. And one of the best ways to do that is get out amongst the people and share that vision, share those stories, and tell them why they're so important to our overall success.
Have you been amazed at how receptive people are here in this community?
You know what? That has been one of the most, I don't want to say a pleasant surprise, because I felt that people in this community would be that way. But it's so nice to go out and meet people, and people are saying, how are you doing? How's everything going? If you guys want to know, I'm more happy than I've been in a long, long time. It's because this community that I'm in. It's because of what this institution wants to do. It's because of the new people that I've met. I had lunch with two donors today, and I said something. I said, you know what, guys, this has been simply incredible. And I'm going to continue to do that, get out there and meet people. I want to get to know people, and I want people to get to know me. And I want to tell everyone this. I don't have all the answers. If you have some answers and you can help us, we're open to any and all new ideas.
Going off of donors, fundraising, and just the support of the athletic department, where do you see SMU fitting in NIL, revenue sharing, and then that new landscape?
NIL, Name, image, and likeness, huh? I love it. I embrace it because I don't mind student athletes getting paid. I wish we could have a few more guardrails around it to make sure we're protecting both sides, being the student athletes and the institutions. But I want to sit down and give a shout out to the Boulevard Collective guys. The Boulevard Collective raised so much money to give us the opportunity to compete at the highest level. And a lot of you in here contributed to that collective, and we're grateful. And now we transition to revenue share. And we're going to continue to share the $20.5 million that we're allowed under the cap. And we're going to continue to go out and push and recruit the best student athletes out there to represent this institution and make you guys proud. We've got to understand the game. We've got to play in that game and play in that space, and we've got to master it and be strategic with it.
We've got a lot of great facilities, a lot of new facilities here at SMU. Things always get talked about, and one of them I know right now is Ford Stadium because, frankly, it's pretty much our oldest facility that we have, and it doesn't look like it. Of course, a great new end zone complex added last year. But what are some of the possibilities that you are exploring right now with doing some more at Ford Stadium?
Well, I want to start off by saying we have some incredible facilities. And two of our best facilities, tennis is incredible. The swimming facility, when you have an indoor facility and the outdoor right next to it, you couldn't ask for anything better. So I'm really proud of the facilities that we have here. But I do think some facilities need some minor touch-ups, renovations, updates, and one of those is Ford. We need to take a hard look at Ford Stadium. I love it. I love the size, the uniqueness. I call it boutique. But I want to make sure, regardless of where you're sitting in that arena, that you have the best possible experience. I want to upgrade it from a premium space. I want to make sure that we're meeting the needs and the demands that our fans have, and that when you walk in there, you feel like it is a first-class facility that is top-notch. And if you enjoy hanging out in the club level, if you enjoy being in the bowl, if you enjoy being on the field, if you enjoy being in Weber, I want it to be top-notch. And I'm going to give a shout-out to tonight because when we talk about being top-notch and good at everything that we do, that includes our cheer and our palm. And I want to mention Carrie Teller.
Well, when we mentioned the facilities, there have been record attendance across different sports over last year and then the beginning of this season as well. How do you continue that momentum?
Winning. we got to continue to win, and I'm going to encourage everyone to keep coming out. When we look at the first two games, I'm going to start out with our students. I guess it was East Texas State. I didn't even know who that was before, but then when someone said Texas A&M Commerce, I knew. But we had over 5,000 student tickets claimed for that game. And then Baylor comes in, and we have around the same number again. And then our fans in general, we had a sellout at Baylor. For us to continue to attract great students to this institution to compete for us, we need to sell out our venues. You play a significant role. Kids don't want to come to a place where it's empty. So we've got to win, but we've got to continue to provide you the amenities and make the environment exciting. The way you experience a game and take in a game, everybody looks at it different. Some people come to watch the game. Some people come to socialize. The cheer and palm squads, the band, it all needs to be top-notch. So when you walk away, the young people say it's called FOMO, fear of missing out. You want to be there.
Non-conference scheduling can be hard in some sports, especially football, as we know, since this Saturday will be the last for a while in the battle for the Iron Skillet against TCU. Schedules are mapped out real far in advance, of course, in football. Basketball, it's a little closer in. Same with volleyball. What is your philosophy, though, on how you'd like to see schedules done in the department?
Yeah, football scheduling is tricky. There's a lot of strategy to it. We just don't go out and say, oh, let's schedule such and such. So as we try to continue to build our brand, guys, we've got to own this market or deliver this market from a TV viewership perspective. And so part of our strategy is going to be this. We're not afraid to play anybody. We need to bring in brands like LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Michigan. We've got to play those brands because when you bring them here to Dallas, it drives viewership to levels that we haven't seen. But on top of that, it presents a great opportunity. So we will continue to do that, look at some big brands to bring in here. But mind you, there's a lot of debate whether or not if we're going to go to a non-conference conference game schedule, which now that means we'll have 3 non-conference games instead of 4. We've got 2 Power 4 opponents this year in Baylor and TCU, and then Missouri State in East Texas. As if we go to a 9-game schedule and we want to look at continuing a rivalry with TCU, I'm going to ask our fans what they want to do. I'm new here. I understand the rivalry means a lot to a lot of people. I think the AD for that school over there made some comments in the paper the other day. He and I need to have a talk about that a little bit, but we'll figure it out. And I want to do what's going to give us the best opportunity to compete in the CFP, win an ACC championship, but yet give our fans a great schedule.
Yeah, because if you get where you've got 11 Power 4 games in one season, that can make a CFP trip to get a little bit harder for you to get to, right?
That's very, very difficult. So if we look at a 8 conference game schedule and you play 1 Power 4 and 3 other Group of 5s or an FCS, then you know you've got 9 Power 4 games. But if you go to a 9 conference game schedule and you play 1 Power 4, you've got 10. You don't want to overschedule yourself, especially when you're trying to look at where you want to end up at the end of the year.
Well, we've talked a lot about the fall sports. What excites you the most about the winter sports? And I know there's some great recruiting classes coming in.
You know, first, I love sports, guys. I got to give a shout out to volleyball and what they've been doing in beating Texas A&M the other week. Clean sweep was just magnificent for us.
Yeah.
Just magnificent. And I know our men's soccer coach in Huddy doesn't want to draw anyone, but when you go against, I think, number 2 Clemson and to come out with a draw, you know, that shows you how good we are in men's soccer. But as we get into the winter sports and basketball start up on both the men's and women's side, I'm just excited about those sports getting going. I'm excited about everything getting going. You know, whether you talk about tennis and swimming and golf, I can't wait to see it all because it's all new to me here. And I know there's going to be some great things done in all of our sports this year.
Well, it's a big weekend for us with the Battle for the Iron Skillet Saturday, Thunder On, debuting Sunday at 2 o'clock on ESPN. Damon, thanks so much for taking time to join us here on the show tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you, guys.
SMU Athletics Director Damon Evans joining us here on Mustangs Mic'd Up. We're brought to you in part by Rebel XP. College football is back. Simplify your tailgate planning and upgrade your game day at the biggest SMU games this season. Full-service tailgates are selling fast. Contact Rebel XP at 214-935-1683 or visit rebelxp.com for more information. We'll talk some tennis with men's tennis coach Grant Chen up next here on Mustangs Mic'd Up. Welcome back here to Mustangs Mic'd Up. I'm Rich Phillips, along with Alex Glover each Wednesday night here, 7 o'clock at Ozona Grill and Bar on the SMU Mustangs Facebook page. We're brought to you each week by the SMU Cox School of Business, introducing the new Masters in AI for Business. Get an edge in AI innovation with this new degree program from the SMU Cox School of Business that merges an analytics and data-driven curriculum with generative and predictive AI frameworks and LLM technology. Learn more at smu.edu/Cox/Mustangs, and we'll ask Kevin Knox what that's all about after the show here tonight. All right, next up here, let's talk about men's tennis as we are joined by SMU tennis coach Grant Chen. How are you?
Fantastic.
8th season here at SMU. Season's already underway, right? The fall schedule really for individual play and rankings right now?
It's been a blast. And first off, to you guys tonight, thank you so much for being here. I mean, just walking in, what a special way to get my Wednesday evening going, and it's fun to be here. But the fall is fully underway, and a true sign of that, I started in Waco on Friday, Saturday, then flew to Wake Forest Saturday night, then was there for the finals as one of our guys was competing, then flew straight to Fayetteville. There was actually a direct flight there. I couldn't believe it. And then was there a couple days. So 4 states, 3 tournaments, 4 days.
Winston-Salem to Fayetteville?
It was Charlotte.
Charlotte,
so
okay.
Had a little bit of a drive. But talk about a weekend of trains, planes, and automobiles, and you just kind of figured out how to get from point A to point B.
And so your athletes are spread out at these, right? They're not doing all the same travel you are, right?
That's correct. So it's kind of like a little bit of a zone defense. I got a couple guys here with one coach. I got a couple guys here with another coach. And, you know, I try to make my way to make sure be able to spend some time with all the players. And this happened to be one of those weekends where you're just divide and conquer.
Sure.
We're a man down as well. Coach Ben just welcomed his 5th child. So that's super exciting over the weekend. So we're all happy for him, but he'll be a little MIA. But the fall is underway.
Well, tell us a little bit about your athletes. I know last year was a lot of newcomers. This year, getting lucky with some more veterans. Tell us about just kind of that chemistry that they have, and then what's the difference between last year's squad and this year's?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, really, really great comparison of the two. I mean, 2 seasons. Obviously, we're just starting fresh now. Last year was really kind of this young crop. A couple years ago, we signed the #1 kid in the country, which was the first time that's happened in 25 years here. He's now a seasoned 19-year-old junior. So, put that in perspective. But then, last year with 4 true freshmen in the starting lineup, an 18-year-old freshman at #1, a sophomore at #1, and here we go. So, definitely first year in the conference, a lot of new things, a lot of new environments. I think, we also kind of took our lickings early, but super competitive in one of the strongest conferences and also one of the toughest schedules in the conference and in the year. But I think we added that maturity and that growth. We went through a lot. I think to be able to reflect come the end of the school year, to be able to see where we're all at and what we need for, year 2 in the conference, I think really allowed us to have some veterans, but also bring in a couple new ones. So it's been a great dynamics, and we're really eager for the season.
You've got 3 guys competing at the ITA All-American Championship starting this weekend. Trevor Svida,
Yep.
Alex Finkelstein, and my favorite name, by the way, Georgiev.
Yes.
We need him to play wide receiver for us or something, too, so I could call that for a touchdown. Has to be a great chance, though, for these guys this weekend, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the magnitude of this event. It's almost 400 athletes. You start with the pre-qualifying round Saturday, Sunday, which Georgie's in. Then you have the qualifying rounds Monday and Tuesday, which Alex is in. And then you have the main event, which doesn't start till Wednesday next week, which Trevor's started in. So you have this staggered tiered event. You have the opportunity to see where you're really at against, some of the other top players in the country. And I think to be able to have that opportunity, you got to make the event first and get in, and then see where you end up. And I think, we'll head up to Tulsa this weekend and then kind of be prepared for that competition, but also a first glimpse. All 3 guys who are competing in the All-Americans, it'll be their first opportunity to compete in the All-Americans in their college career. So, I think that'll also be a really good test to be able to have that national exposure.
You talked about how it's a staggered event. Sometimes you're in different places. How do you make sure that you're present where you need to be, but also not spread too thin trying to be in those different places with the athletes?
It's about the preparation first, and I think every single student athlete is focusing and preparing a different something. Again, my freshman over the weekend in Waco, I just wanted him to get through the match. And part of it, I think a little bit of deer in the headlights, kind of got immersed in a little bit in his first collegiate arena. Again, I think, 10 minutes later, I just told him to take a breath and maybe try to come up for air. So as they get through the year, I think it's pretty exciting to see what the evolution they've come. Even, Trevor and some of our other guys, over the course from year 1, year 2, year 3, I mean, all of a sudden then, they become a senior, and time flies, and then they think they know everything, and then what ends up happening, and I've seen it a couple times, and then they get a little bit of this like deer in the headlights, senioritis, the lights at the end of the tunnel. What am I going to do with my future post-college? So it really is an evolution of emotions, but also I think at every stage to be able to try to prepare them. Some of them it's really, hey, let's stand on our own 2 feet, get through it by ourselves. Some of it is, that dynamics and being on the trenches with them.
Your spring schedule is going to be team play. You kind of touched on it a moment ago, but how much different did you find the world of the ACC for your team last year?
We were ready. I mean, again, we were aware of a lot of the challenges coming up ahead. We've had so many tough competition, and in even previous years, we've had a really balanced schedule. So I think it was just some new territory for sure, but the tough part was just the week in, week out depth. Mm-hmm. I think last year in our final 6 matches of the season, all 6 were in the top 8 in the country. So, you kind of put that in, and for 4 straight weeks, we just battled, and every single day showed up again and showed up again and showed up again. So I think it really had a lot of resiliency, showed the guys where they're at, knowing that they're right there. And yes, we didn't quite get over the finish line a couple of those matches last year, but it'll make for an incredible comeback this season.
All right, it's time for the Mustang Minute. Are you ready?
Let's bring it on.
Is it harder to coach in the heat of Dallas or organizing travel for a full squad?
You know, I think coaching is always a little bit harder than I think the players realize. You know, we're not taking the bathroom breaks. We don't have the ice towels. You know, again, here we are trying to help them. I think coaching in the heat.
Okay. Do you have a pre-match superstition?
I don't know if it's a superstition, but I do keep my pen in the same spot, which is in the back of my cap. So you'll kind of see me just place it in that little little adjustment holder, so it'll be in the back of my hat.
Has there been a game it has not been there?
No, so I have this one blue pen that I use religiously, and so I've expensed a bunch of them. Thank you, Concur. But I've got the same blue pen. I've used it for 10 plus years, and I've got a box full of them.
And may I ask why that's not a superstition?
You know, I actually have black as well. I don't like it as much because it feels the same. I think the way it writes, I think, is pretty good, but it's a good pen.
Okay.
There's a lot to be
I'll save
said.
you a couple.
There's a lot to be said about your favorite pen. Okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I'll bring you one next time.
Yeah, okay. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Favorite Dallas restaurant after a match?
You know, I think some good Tex-Mex. Dos Meses is a pretty good call. I love me some of the good sushi. So Uchi and Namo are some of my personal favorites there. But fantastic restaurants in the area, and always enjoy coming here.
Who's a teammate you trust to hit a game-winning match point for your life?
I'll go with our top dog, Trevor Svida.
Okay. Which celebrity or pro athlete would you want to join your team for a day?
I'd love to be in the locker room just even for a few minutes with Jordan.
If you weren't coaching tennis, what would you be doing?
I would like to tell you I was pursuing professional golf, but that's probably not likely. In my dream, if this is really my dream, then I'd love to pursue professional golf.
Okay.
Realistically, I'd love to just be operating and running sports events.
Perfect.
That's something I love doing.
How's that?
Well, your path to get here, I thought, was interesting. You played tennis, of course, growing up, but I know you've talked about how your dad and all his buddies got you into playing. So first off, I want to verify, did they really not keep score when they played?
You know, it was kind of like that scene in The Sandlot where every single day the kids just showed up and they played.
Uh-huh.
So my brother and I were both under 4 years old. My dad, 3 of his friends, every day from 4:30 to 5:30 would play tennis, just in the local parks next to our house. And then we'd race home for dinner by 6 o'clock. And so my brother and I, we got a little older, and my dad would start tossing me tennis balls. And, that was, 40 plus years ago. And it's been one of the greatest experiences and the gifts my parents gave me was the sport of tennis.
But then when you went to UCLA, you thought, okay, my playing days are over. And it didn't take long for you to figure out, I got to be a part of this. And Billy Martin, the coach there at UCLA, had to be huge in your life, obviously.
It's been special. I started college just as a quote-unquote normal student. I walked in, attended class, did my work, and it was something that my first semester, there was a void. And I think deep down, I missed tennis. I missed the game. I missed the love. I missed the passion. So I found a way to get involved. I actually had an economics class with one of the guys on the team. And he was like, yeah, you should, swing by and come on out. So that night, actually, just in the rec courts, him and I hit at 9 p.m. I'll never forget it. He was, the number one player on the team. He was an All-American. And him and I are playing tennis on a Thursday night at the rec courts under the lights. And, that was back many years ago. And to be able to be back in the sport just gave me this new life. And I think that was the direction it really gave. And, yes, the head coach there really just has been an integral part in all aspects of my life.
You also have some international coaching experience with Team USA. Can you tell us about that experience and then kind of what you brought in from the just being globally with another team?
There's nothing more incredible than to be able to represent your country. And so, I've done it a couple times now, the World University Games. It's the Olympic competition that's held every other year. So I did it back in 2017. I did it this past summer to be able to spend some time. I've reached out to the other SMU athletes, which were on swimming and diving, and that's been great to meet the guys like Jack and a few others from other sports. But you really have that opportunity to kind of go out there, and some of the guys on the Mustangs were on the team as well as a few other schools around the country. But it just an incredible and honorable experience to have. Mm-hmm. So we were on the red clay in Essen, Germany. Mm-hmm. For 14 days, And really something, I love seeing different parts. Tennis is such a global game. But it also gives you, I think, a real new appreciation for a lot of the other sports. I mean, we saw fencing. We saw taekwondo. We saw, just so many other things, synchronized swimming. And here you are, athlete village. There's a dining hall with, 4,000 athletes. And the fun part of that is actually not the dining part. It's when everyone needs to do laundry. So now you've got 8,000 athletes trying to do laundry on the same 15 machines. Oh. So that actually makes things really, really interesting. So, it was a give and take. Some of us are doing it at 4 a.m., some of us are doing it at midnight, but just a remarkable experience to be able to have, representing SMU and your country on a international level.
You've said before, too, that coaching, for you at least, is more than wins and losses. What else is it about for you?
I think to be able to have the ties and the connections with these student athletes for many years. I've actually had a couple weddings the past 9 months, and a majority of them are either former student athletes, and including our senior captain actually just recently got married over the summer. And to have a wedding and the teams there, and to feel that, to go through this entire journey with them and see them become a married man is really something that that you played a small role in. I mean, one of the weddings, I thought I was going to be at table 90. I think I was at table 2. And, it just, I think, shows the impact that we can have on these student athletes, and to go through some life moments with them, through the good ones and the bad ones. I think it's just something that you'll always know that when they call, it's going to be a special moment and, a life moment happen.
When recruits come to visit Dallas and campus, what is something that you want them to feel first and foremost about SMU tennis?
In general, I think it's really not even selling them about tennis. I think it's really sharing them. We talk about this Mustang momentum, and you talk about the energy, and you talk about no better time than being here in Dallas, and it's really true. Mm-hmm. And I think for myself, I'm probably the prime example. I was a California kid who had never left California. My wife thought we were going to be stuck there forever. And next thing you know, here we are, and it has been the most remarkable 7.5 years, going on 8 seasons that we've ever had. I mean, to be able to have roots here and to be able to have an incredible network and friendships and other couples that we can enjoy a nice meal with. So Dallas, SMU, this community is just absolutely, it's powerful. Mm-hmm. And when you can feel that, sometimes words don't do it justice. And we just got to get them here, show them campus. And sometimes I just get out of their way and let them try to soak it all in. Mm-hmm. Whether it's standing in the middle of the football field or going to Moody and you're sitting there and you're watching the passion and the energy, sometimes it really just speaks for itself.
The Dallas Open, a pretty prestigious event here in the Metroplex, now up at the Star in Frisco. You had a few guys that got to play in that last year, right?
Absolutely. That's been a great opportunity. I think not just for tennis, but really just for the Dallas community. To see the greatest players on earth to be able to show up and compete in the event. It was actually so funny. The U.S. Open was a few weeks ago, and in the days leading up, I walked on court. Francis Tiafoe was right there. He greeted me with a big hug, and he goes, "You stole our AD." And I it kind of took me off guard. So Francis Tiafoe, who top 10 in the world, he lives in the Maryland area. And he goes, "Yeah, you got to give me his number. I got to call Damon up, but you stole our guy." I'm like, okay, thanks, but he's going to play the Dallas Open. He'll be here in February, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to call him up." I'm like, "You got it. I'll give him, go through Lucy."
Absolutely.
So, but I think that's really what it's been able to do is on the biggest stage on a global sport, and to have the Dallas community be able to embrace this event, and for SMU to continue a part of it. And it's going to continue like that. We're going to have a doubles event. There's going to be singles, and to drive up the road up to the Star. And, as amazing as it was a couple years here, which was one of the most special things. I've never got less sleep than those weeks. But the best part of having it at the Star, it's like having a dinner party at your neighbor's house. I don't need to clean up. I don't need to worry about the trash cans. I can show up, and I can leave whenever I want.
Like those events, huh?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, Grant, great having you here tonight. I know you got a very busy schedule here with your players here, there, and everywhere. And good luck to you, and good luck to all of them, too. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Go Mustangs.
That is Grant Chen, our men's tennis coach, joining us here tonight on Mustangs Mic'd Up. We'll wrap it up next, talking men's swimming with Greg Rhodenbaugh. Welcome back here to Mustangs Mic'd Up. We do this Wednesday night, 7 o'clock at Ozona Grill and Bar. And it's here on Greenville Avenue. Ozona has the best patio in town and happy hour from 4 to 7 every Sunday through Friday. Enjoy $1 off bar drinks and complimentary chips and salsa. Ozona Grill and Bar. Find your comfort zone. We will talk football next week. We'll have a head coach, Rhett Lashley, and one of his players here next week as well. Reminder, they've got a pretty big game this Saturday, 11 a.m. from Fort Worth. I will have the radio call on 96.7 and 1310 The Ticket from Fort Worth beginning at 10:30 on Saturday morning. But now let's welcome up here to the stage the SMU men's swimming coach, Greg Rhodenbaugh.
Thanks for having me. Great crowd.
Yeah. 7th year for you here at SMU. One of 2 SMU alums to serve as a current head coach. We had Kevin Hudson on the show just last week. You swam here 1980 to 84. This place, obviously, it's pretty special to you here at SMU.
Really special, great memories, and trying to make new ones.
Met your wife here?
Met my beautiful wife, Lisa, here. She was a diver.
It worked out for you.
It did.
I met mine at a radio station at college.
How surprising.
We're still married, too. That may be the surprising part.
What would you say, just from seeing the program evolve over the years, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen at SMU and Dallas, and then just the momentum around the program?
Well, we certainly have different facilities than we had back when I was here. So I swam for 4 years, then I coached here for 15 years, then I went away for 20. And we'd come back every once in a while and just watch SMU tear buildings down, build new ones, renovate into beautiful, almost new buildings. And it's been pretty neat to watch the evolution over the years. And President Turner was amazing with what he did with SMU while we were gone. And we're kind of like Damon. We're just kind of riding a wave right now with the facilities. And so it's been pretty special to be back.
You don't miss the old place?
I do actually miss the old place. Joe Perkins Natatorium was a great place to watch a meet, but it was a little small.
A little small.
Yeah.
You actually served 1 year as head coach back in the 80s before Eddie Sennett took over, right?
I did. I kind of bridged the gap between Coach Mack, who was my mentor, and Eddie, who was another mentor. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason he wanted me to stay. So I did for 10 more years.
Just 10?
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about the team and then your goals for this season.
Yeah, so we graduated a pretty mature and well, they were just really good swimmers. And so we have the best freshman class that I've ever recruited, actually, right now. And they're all developmental swimmers, but they're developing pretty quickly over the last 3 weeks. So we're having fun watching them get better already. But for this year, we just want to break team records and move up in the ACC championships and get people to NCAAs and score more points there.
Well, last year, only 33 new top 10 times and 5 new school records. That's all last year.
That's, yeah.
What was that a result of?
Just developing athletes. We usually have a great group of guys, and they pay attention. They work hard, even though they have to stare at a black line for 2 hours at a time. But they figure out things to do, like sing songs to themselves and think about what they're going to have for dinner, that kind of stuff. So,
All right, Coach, are you ready for the Mustang Minute?
I think so.
What's harder, a morning practice or breakfast with your kids? Would you enlighten us on how many kids?
Well, I've got 8 kids, but they're all grown now. So I'm going to go morning practice because I don't have any kids left.
How close in ages are they?
From the oldest to the youngest, it's about 10 years.
Wow. So breakfast was tough.
Breakfast was, well, yeah, breakfast was, our kids were pretty good. They didn't spill a lot of stuff. They were good kids. So.
If you could swim one relay again with one of your college teammates, which one would you pick?
Well, my brother swam here. He was an NCAA championship backstroker. And I actually got to swim on a relay with him, and we won nationals. So that was pretty special. But I'd probably be with him again. Yeah.
Favorite Dallas food spot you take recruits to?
Cafe 43. That's where we take our recruits for lunch. It's awesome.
Hidden talent outside of swimming.
I have no talents outside. of swimming.
Oh, come on.
Raising kids, I don't know.
Best city you've traveled to for a meet.
Edmonton.
And which pro would you want in for one day?
Which pro
Pro.
would I want for one day? Maybe Federer. He's fun.
Yeah. By the way, Edmonton and swimming, they just go hand in hand, right?
Well, that was World University Games that I went to up there. So
It's probably indoors, wasn't it?
I was. Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
You talked about your roster. You've got some youngsters, got a mix of vets among them. Jack Berube, who holds 4 school records, include taking down one of his dads, Ryan, in the 100-meter backstroke last year. That had to be a pretty big moment for him to break that record.
Well, it was fun to watch Jack and Ryan at the same time. And for those of you that don't know, I coached Ryan back in the early 90s, 96, and to watch him, he actually broke 2 of his dad's records last year, and that was pretty special. Yeah. But Jack's back, and he's swimming great, but he's also a really good leader. And so our backstroke squad, where 2 years ago we couldn't buy a backstroker, now all of a sudden we got 3 or 4 that are really good. So he's doing a great job. Sage Sungol and Jack Forrest were just elected captain today of the team, and we're going to lean on them a lot for distance freestyle and middle distance sprint freestyle. And then Ward Lockhart, as we get him going again, he's actually our fastest guy. So he's a senior this year again too.
Who are some of the younger swimmers fans should be excited to watch this season?
Andy Baklanov from Kansas City, backstroker, IMer. He's really developing quickly. Never had anybody as fast as him come in as a freshman. Trey Clairvy, breaststroker, never had one that fast. Francis Brennan just got back from World Juniors, and he did a great job there, and he looks great in workout. Those are 3 that I'm excited about. So.
You mentioned you couldn't find a backstroker at one time. How do you go about, or how do the athletes go about determining what's best for them? Which discipline is going to be best for them?
I just tell them.
You just tell them that's it?
No, it's, sometimes they come here as one thing, and after we work on some things, they end up being another. And that happens every year. But we had good backstrokers, but we didn't have the NCAA elite backstrokers that we needed for a lead off on a relay. Although, we made both medley relays last year at NCAAs. We just couldn't swim them. So,
What did you see from your team at NCAAs last year that you want to build on?
well, we had a lot of guys there that weren't there the previous year. So for Ward and Jack Forrest and Sage, just the experience of being at NCAAs is invaluable. So that's what we're building on, and just continue to develop them and know that there's another level. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your schedule is just about to start picking up. I believe you have an inter-squad scrimmage next weekend, and then a double dual meet with Incarnate Word and Oklahoma Christian. Where are you guys at and focusing on to get ready for the season?
This was our first week of full workouts, and so they're a little tired right now, and but that's good. They're supposed to be. And we're just focusing on trying to teach them the strokes that we coach as far as technique goes, and all the little things like turns and starts and all of that, so that they can kind of plug into the way we do it. And we do have Incarnate Word and Oklahoma Christian, but the weekend after that is the SMU Classic, and that's one of the fastest meets of first semester in the nation. And there'll be a lot of international swimmers from the other teams, and some of the best swimmers in the country will be here.
You talked about training. We talked about this with Darian Schmidt last week or 2 weeks ago when we had him on. How much is in the pool? How much is on dry land? How much do your athletes have to do other workouts to stay in shape for swimming?
Yeah, we did some kind of dryland workout every afternoon, and we lift weights 3 times a week, and we do drylands other than weights on the pool deck 3 times a week. And that usually, weights last about an hour, drylands last somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes depending on what we do. And then we get in the water. So mostly it's water stuff, but if you can control your body out of the water, it's easier to do it in the water. So.
Which do the guys prefer?
Well, they'd rather be on dry land.
Really?
Yeah. Even though swimmers aren't very coordinated, they'd rather be on dry land.
All right, very good. Well, hey, Greg, thanks so much for joining us here this evening, and good luck to you and the team as the schedule starts ramping up here in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
All right, Craig Rhodenbaugh, the men's swimming coach, joining us here tonight on the show. Thanks to Grant Chen as well from the men's tennis team, who joined us, as well as Director of Athletics Damon Evans here on the show. Another great edition of Mustangs Mic'd Up. For Alex, I'm Rich Phillips. Hey, football next week. We'll have head coach Rhett Lashley here as well as one of his players, so be sure you join us next Wednesday night for the next edition of Mustangs Mic'd Up.